everybody! Today, Honey is going to continue reading Wayside School is Falling Down, written by Louis Shacker and illustrated by Tim Hodge. Chapter 23 Teeth. Something terrible happened. Rondi grew 2 new front teeth. Rondi was afraid nobody would think she was cute anymore. Mrs. Jules was giving a health lesson. Always brush your teeth, she said, and remember to scrub behind your ears. But I'll get toothpaste in my ear, exclaimed Todd. Everyone laughed except Rondi. She didn't want anybody to see her teeth. She hadn't smiled for a week. Mrs. Jules made Todd write his name on the board under the word discipline. At recess, Rondi decided to tell Louis her problem. Louis was talking to Dee. Do you have any green balls left? Said Dee. I'm sorry, we've always given them all away, said Louis. That's not fair, said Dee. Why don't you ever save one for me? You know I can't do that, said Louis. If I save a ball for you, then all the other kids will want me to save balls for them too. Thanks for nothing, Louis, said Dee. She stormed away. It was Rondi's turn. She made sure and nobody else was listening. Louis, will you help me? She whispered. Sure, Rondi. What's the problem? Asked Louis. Rondi smiled, showing Louis her teeth. Very nice, said Louis. And listen to this, said Rondi. She sells seashells by the seashore. Very good, said Louis. No, it isn't, complained Rondi. I used to whistle when I said the words with S's in them. Now nobody will think I'm cute. I think you're cute, said Louis. You don't count, said Rondi. Well, thanks a lot, said Louis. I don't mean it bad, said Rondi, but you think everybody's cute, even Miss Mush. That's why I like you. Thank you, Rondi. I like you too. Thank you, said Rondi. Will you please kick me in the teeth? No, said Louis. Why not? Asked Rondi. You said you liked me. If you liked me, you'd kick me in the teeth. You know I can't, said Louis. If I kick you in the teeth, then all the other kids will want me to kick them in the teeth too. Rondi scowled. Thanks for nothing, Louis, she said. She crawled into the bushes where nobody could be able to see her mouth. Louis! Louis! Shouted Stephen and Jason as they ran towards him. Terrence stole our ball, said Jason. I wish children would learn to share, said Louis. Make him give it back, said Stephen. Louis started to say something, then stopped. He twirled his multicolored mustache. Hey, Rondi, he called. Will you help me? Rondi crawled out of the bushes. You wouldn't help me, she said. Why would I help you? Terrence stole our ball, said Louis. Make him give it back. Her, said Stephen and Jason. Me? Asked Rondi. Louis winked at her. Rondi's eyes lit up. Okay, Louis, she said. That's a good idea. That's a wonderful idea. She hurried across the playground. Stephen and Jason ran after her. Terrence kicked the red ball up into the air, then under it and caught it. Hey, Terrence, said Rondi. It's not your ball. You stole it. Drop dead, ketchup head, said Terrence. Rondi walked up to him, stared him straight in the eye, then said, In your head, muskrat. That surprised Terrence. He took a step back, then he collected himself and said, Dig a hole, Milky Mole. Rondi took another step forward him. Kiss a goose, Mr. Seuss, she replied. Terrence looked around. A group of kids had formed a circle around them. Go to jail, garbage pail, she said. Rondi held her ground. Go to the zoo, Mr. Jagoo, she reported. Everyone was very impressed by now how brave Rondi was. Now, give me the ball, she demanded. You want it, said Terrence. I'll give it to you, all right. He raised his fist in the air. Good. Let me have it, said Rondi. She smiled, showing him her 2 new teeth. Terrence shook his fist at her. You're asking for it, he said. That's right, said Rondi. I am. Her teeth gleamed at him. Terrence brought his fist way back behind them. Ronnie closed her eyes. Hey, look, exclaimed Bibi. Ronnie's got new teeth. They're cute, said Jenny. Ronnie opened her eyes. You think so? She asked. Yo, you're cuter before, said Paul. I think she's cuter now, said Todd. They took a vote. 12 kids thought she looked cuter with her two front teeth, and 12 thought she looked cuter before. 3 thought she would keep just one tooth. So Ronnie decided to keep her teeth. They were good at biting carriage. Uh-oh, she suddenly remembered. She ducked just in time. Chapter 24. Another story about potatoes. John was next in line. He had forgotten his lunch. And what would you like, Joe? Said Miss Mush. What do you have? Joy asked. Potato salad, said Miss Mush. Anything else? Asked Joe. No, just potato salad, said Miss Mush. Mrs. Jules had made Miss Mush throw away the rest of the mushroom surprise, and she made Miss Mush promise never to make it again. Okay, I'll have potato salad, said Joe. Miss Mush smiled. She scooped a large glob of potato salad out of the vat and plopped it on Joe's paper plate. Cherry was next in line. She had also forgotten her lunch. And what would you like, Cherry? Asked Miss Mush. What do you have? Asked Cherry. Potato salad. What else in there? Said Cherry. Nothing, said Miss Mush. Okay, said Cherry. I'll have that. Potato salad? Asked Miss Mush. No, nothing, said Cherry. Joe was the only one who ordered the potato salad. Everyone else ordered nothing. He slid his paper plate over the cash registers and paid for his lunch. Then he went to the ketchup and mustard table. He looked at the grayish white mound on his plate. He thought it needed more color. He squirted squiggly lines of mustard all over it. Then he added several dollops of red ketchup. That's very pretty, Joe, said Bibi. I didn't know you were such a good artist. Thanks, said Joe. He looked for a place to sit. Hey, Joe, over here, called John. John sat next to him. Hi, Paul, he said. Hi, good buddy, replied John. They were best friends. John had brought his lunch. He looked at Joe's potato salad covered with yellow squiggles and red polka dots. That's very colorful, he said. Thanks, said Joe. They both stared at it. I wonder what it tastes like, said John. Who knows, said Joe. There's plenty more potato salad, called Miss Mush. Who wants seconds? Nobody wanted seconds of potato salad. Several kids went back for seconds of nothing, but soon Miss Mush ran out of nothing. Finally, Joe picked up his plastic fork and stuck into the gloop. What does it feel like? Asked John. Lumpy and gooey, said Joe. He dragged his fork all over the mouth, squirting the mustard and ketchup together. Kind of spongy, too. The colors mixed with the potato salad. It turned a pale orange. It looks like a face, said John. Joe laughed. He stretched it so it look even more like a face. He piled up some potato salad in the center, giving it his nose. John had a plastic spoon. He dug out 2 holes for the eyes, then made eyebrows. That's good, said Joe. He gave a big smiling mouth. John gave long, pointy ears. They both laughed at their creation. I wonder what it tastes like, said John. Who knows, said Joe. They stared at it. It kind of looks familiar, said John. Like somebody I know. Who? Asked Joe. I'm not sure, said John. Joe noticed it too. It does look familiar, he agreed. I've seen that face somewhere before, said John. Me too, said Joe. The smile on the potato salad abruptly turned into a frown. Wow, did you see that? Asked Joe. John's eyes filled with terror. I just figured out who it looks like, he whispered. Who? Asked Joe. Mrs. Gorf, the potato salad, laughed. Ha, 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 said Mrs. Gorf. Now I'll get you. You think you're so cute, don't you? Well, you won't get away from me this time. She wiggled her ears, first the right one, then her left. Quick, Joe, said John. Eat her. The two boys stuck their plastic utensils into the potato salad and shoveled it into their mouth as fast as they could. Joe swallowed the final mouthful. Phew, said John. That was close. Joe rubbed his belly and sighed. They both stared at the empty plate. You know, Joe, said John, that didn't taste too bad. It was pretty good, Joe agreed. They went back for seconds. Chapter 24, A History That Isn't About Socks. It was class picture day. The children were all dressed up in their best clothes. Stephen came to school wearing a three-piece suit. Gray trousers, a gray vest, a gray jacket. Underneath his vest was a white shirt and a red and gold striped tie. On his feet were hard, black, shiny shoes. He was very handsome. The other kids laughed when they saw him. You're wearing lots of silly costumes, said Bibi, but it is the silliest one yet. Bibi was wearing yellow shirt, a red shirt with white polka dots, and a floppy green hat. Mrs. Jules rang her cowbell. Settle down, she said. The children settled in their seats. Stephen remained standing. Look at Stephen, said Maricia. His jacket is the same color as his pants. They're supposed to be the same color, Stephen tried to explain. It's a suit. They're not called pants. They're called trousers. Ooh, said Maricia. Can you go swimming in your suit? No, said Stephen. I can go swimming in my suit, said Maricia. Maricia had on a black and white striped bikini. I'm sure Stephen's suit is good for other things, said Mrs. Jules. It is, said Stephen. Like what? Said Todd. Standing around and looking important, said Stephen. What about sitting? Asked Todd. No, I'm not supposed to sit, said Stephen. The suit might get wrinkled. I'm just supposed to stand around and look important. Oh, said Todd. Todd was wearing white shirt, a Hawaiian shirt, and sunglasses. Didi crawled across the floor to Stephen so she could get a better look at his shoes. They're so shiny, she said. I can't see myself. She knocked on the side of his shoes with her fist. They're hard, too. Didi, get up, said Mrs. Jules. Didi stood up. She had a black t-shirt that came down to her knees. In the middle of the shirt was a real heart. Love in her sparkling silver golden letters. It said, Love, Goddess. I bet they're good for kickball, huh, Stephen? She asked. Since they're so hard. No, said Stephen. I can't run in them, and they hurt my feet. Then why do you wear them? Asked Didi. Because they're uncomfortable, Stephen explained. You have to wear uncomfortable shoes if you want to look important. Oh, said Didi. That's the thing around your neck, asked Todd. It's a tie, said Stephen. Does it keep your neck warm? Said Paul. No, said Stephen. Does it hold your shirt on? Said Paul. No, said Stephen. Well, what for? Asked Paul. It chokes me, said Stephen. Oh, said Paul. The more it chokes me, the better I look, Stephen explained. See, he tightened his tie. Oh yeah, said Paul. You look really handsome. Paul was wearing cowboy and Indian pajamas. Stephen pulled his tie tighter. How do I look? He asked. Wow, you look great, said DJ. Pull it tighter. Stephen pulled his tie even tighter. How's this? He gasped. You look great and very important, said DJ. DJ was wearing a toga made out of his bed sheet. Pull it tighter, said Bibi. Stephen pulled on his tie. He could no longer breathe. Tighter! Everyone yelled. Stephen pulled it even tighter. His eyes bulged out and his nose turned blue. He had never been more handsome. Tighter! They all shouted. Stephen pulled his tie so hard that he ripped in half. Oh, the whole class groaned. Darn, said Stephen. No, I'm not great and important anymore. Yes, you are, Stephen, said Mrs. Jules. You're just as great and important as you ever were. I am? Stephen asked. Certainly, said Mrs. Jules. The tie didn't make you important. It doesn't matter what you wear on the outside. It's what's underneath that counts. Underneath, said Stephen. Yes, said Mrs. Jules. If you want to be great and important, you have to wear expensive underpants. Oh, said Stephen. Mrs. Jules had a flowered tank top and a gray brass skirt.